I once bought a drink for the man who had already slept with my wife. I smiled at him, shook his hand, and he smiled back, because he knew something I didn't. But 4 years later, I didn't confront him. I didn't expose him. I did something worse. I made his entire life fall apart, and he never even proved it was me.
If you've ever been made to feel like a fool, like everyone else was in on a secret except you, then sit back, subscribe, because this story, this one, doesn't explode. It freezes, and then it destroys.
A month into marriage, everything still felt unreal. You know that feeling? Like life has finally clicked into place. She was laughing more, smiling more, touching my arm for no reason. We booked a hotel in a nearby city. Nothing fancy, just an escape. But what I remember most is how she looked before we left, standing in front of the mirror. That dress, long, elegant, but the top, dangerously low, no bra. At the time, I felt proud, like she chose me, out of everyone, me. That thought didn't age well. The bar was warm, dim, alive. Music in the background, glasses clinking, people leaning into conversations. We sat down, ordered drinks, and for a few minutes, it was perfect. Then he appeared, like he'd been waiting. "Hey, wow, didn't expect to see you here." He hugged her, not politely, not briefly, comfortably, like it wasn't the first time. I remember the exact second something inside me tightened. She pulled back quickly. He works at the company, head office." I nodded. We shook hands. Firm grip, eye contact, and his smile. It wasn't friendly. It was knowing.
At first, I tried to ignore it, but you can't unsee something once it registers. His eyes, they didn't stay where they should. They dropped, again and again and again, every time she moved, every time she leaned forward. It wasn't curiosity, it wasn't even lust, it was recognition, like he'd already seen everything, and this was just a reminder. And then I noticed her. She wasn't flattered. She wasn't amused. She was tense, adjusting her dress, avoiding his gaze, leaning into me like she needed distance from him. "Can we go somewhere else?" she whispered. That should have been enough, but it wasn't. He came back with drinks, sat a little too long, smiled a little too much, looked a little too often. Then he left, back to his table, and that's when it happened. 3 guys, leaning in, looking over, laughing. Not subtle, not quiet, open, confident, like they weren't worried about being caught, because to them, there was nothing to hide. I remember thinking, what's so funny? I didn't know yet. I was. Time did what it always does. It moved forward, and I moved with it. 4 years of marriage. Birthdays, holidays, ordinary days that felt real. Until one afternoon, she sat me down. No tears, no shaking, just calm. Too calm. "I need to tell you something." And just like that, everything I thought I knew ended. I slept with someone. No warning, no build-up, just truth dropped like a knife. I didn't react, couldn't. My brain refused to process it. So I asked the only thing that mattered. Who? She hesitated, and in that hesitation, I already knew. When she said it, it wasn't shock I felt. It was recognition, like a puzzle piece finally clicking into place. The bar, the stairs, the laughter, the discomfort, all of it made sense. Too much sense. "Before we got married," she said quietly,
How long before? 4 months. 4 months before I promised forever, she gave herself to someone else. Not by accident, not by mistake, but step by step, choice by choice. At the Christmas party, we went to his room. That's when I stopped listening, because my mind filled in everything she didn't say, and I hated that it could. That night in the bar, he wasn't guessing, he wasn't hoping, he knew. Every look, every smirk, every laugh from that table was built on something I didn't know existed. And I sat there, smiling, talking, drinking, while they laughed at me. I didn't scream, didn't break anything, didn't walk out. I just went quiet. And in that quiet, something inside me shifted. Not shattered, not broken, sharpened. Because real pain, it doesn't always explode. Sometimes it becomes focused. I could have confronted him, could have called him, could have exposed everything. But that would have been loud, temporary, forgettable. No, I wanted something else. I wanted him to feel something he couldn't explain. The same confusion, the same slow realization that something was wrong, but he didn't know what. I didn't rush, I didn't act emotional. I waited. Then I started building. Connections, opportunities, access. Piece by piece, I placed myself in his world, until one day he needed something, and I was the one who could give it to him. He didn't recognize me at first. Why would he? To him, I was forgettable, just a guy from a bar. That was his first mistake. I helped him. Small things at first, introductions, advice, doors opening, and every time he trusted me a little more, relied on me a little more. Until eventually, he didn't just know me, he depended on me. That's when I stopped helping. Not suddenly, not obviously, subtly. A delayed call, a missed opportunity, a recommendation that never got passed on. Tiny shifts, invisible moves. But in his world, those things matter. A lot. At first, nothing obvious. Just things not going his way. Deals slipping, clients choosing someone else. Then bigger things. Projects falling apart. Reputation cracking. And the worst part? He couldn't figure out why. Because from his perspective, he wasn't doing anything wrong. The last time I saw him wasn't planned. It never is. He looked different. Not broken, but close. Like someone trying to hold something together that's already falling apart. He saw me. Relief, actual relief, crossed his face. "Hey, I've been meaning to call you," he said. Of course he had. He needed me again. He always did. I smiled. Same smile I gave him years ago. Calm, friendly, familiar. But this time, I knew everything, and he knew nothing. "Yeah," I said quietly. "I know." There was a pause, just a second, but in that second, something shifted in his expression, like a flicker, like a thought trying to form, like he was almost connecting something, but not quite, never quite. And that's when I realized this was the moment. Not anger, not confrontation, not revenge in words, just awareness. I leaned in slightly, lowered my voice just enough, and said, "Funny how things come back around, isn't it?" His smile faded, just a little. Confusion replaced it, maybe even unease, but no certainty, never certainty. I stepped back, gave him one last look, and walked away. I didn't need him to know. I needed him to feel it, that slow, creeping realization that something in his life had gone wrong, and he didn't know why. The same way I sat in that bar 4 years earlier, feeling like something was off, but having no idea what. He laughed at me once, openly, confidently, without consequence. Years later, he stopped laughing, and he never knew exactly why. Some revenge is loud. Some revenge is messy. But the kind that stays with people is the kind they can't prove, can't trace, can't escape. If this story gave you that slow, chilling feeling, hit like, subscribe, and tell me in the comments, would you have told him the truth or left him wondering forever? Because sometimes not knowing is the punishment.